The Enchanted Wood by Enid Blyton. Chapter 26. The Army of Red Goblins. One day, Mother said that since she had to be out for the whole day, she would prefer it if the children asked the old saucepan man to come and stay with them and to bring any other 2 friends they had made. "Oh, good," said Joe. "We'll ask Moonface and Silky." Beth wrote a note and gave it to the little white goat to take to Moonface. The white goat was a wonderful creature. It gave the most delicious milk. It ran errands, and if any of the hens got out, it found them and drove them back. It was most useful. The goat took the note in its mouth and ran off to the Enchanted Wood. It came to the Faraway Tree and bleated to the red squirrel, who peeped out of his hole low down in the trunk. The squirrel took the note and bounded up to Moonface with it. Moonface was delighted and shouted to Silky, who came up and read it. "We'll ask the old saucepan man as soon as Mr. What's-his-name is asleep," said Moonface. "The children haven't asked What's-his-name, so Saucepan will have to creep down the tree with us without telling him. Otherwise we know what will happen." They sent a note back by the little goat saying that they would arrive at 3 o'clock that afternoon. The children were excited. Mother was preparing to leave, and the girls began to make the cottage look pretty with jars of flowers. Beth baked some chocolate cakes, and Franny made some toffee. Joe made up some sandwiches. "Oh, we'll have a wonderful time," he said. "I hope the saucepan man won't be too deaf this afternoon." By 3 o'clock, everything was ready. The children were neat and clean. The table looked fine with its sandwiches, cakes and toffee, and Beth went to the gate to look for their visitors. She couldn't see them coming down the lane. "They are late," she called to the others. "I expect the saucepan has got tangled up with his saucepans or something." 3:30 came and still no visitors. The children were rather disappointed. "Oh, perhaps Moonface read my letter wrongly and thought it was 4 o'clock, said Beth. But when 4 o'clock came and still no Moonface, Silky or Saucepan arrived, well, they got really worried. "Oh no, I do hope nothing has happened," said Beth, feeling upset. "There's all our nice food and nobody to eat it." "Well, we'll wait a bit longer and then we'll eat our share," said Joe. So when 5 o'clock came and nobody had arrived, the children sadly ate half of the food themselves. "Something's happened," said Joe gloomily. "Oh dear, what do you think it is?" asked Beth, alarmed. "Could we go and see?" "No," said Joe, "not now anyway. Mother will be back soon." "No, we better go tonight. The rope is let down the tree then, and that can pull us up, and it won't take long to climb up." "Oh, we really must find out, though. We've got to find out what's wrong," said Beth, clearing the plates away. "We'll take their share of the food with us, too." So, that night, when it was dark, the 3 children slipped out of bed, dressed, and crept out of the back door. They took a lantern that Joe had found, for there was no moon that night. Joe swung it in front of him, and they could see where to walk. Down the dark lane they went, over the ditch and into the Enchanted Wood. The trees were whispering very loudly together tonight. "Wisha, wisha, wisha," they said. "Oh, how I wish I knew what they were saying," said Franny. "Come on," said Joe. "We better not be too long, Franny. We want to get back by daylight." They made their way through the dark wood. As there was no moon, there were no fairy folk about at all that night. The children soon came to the Faraway Tree and looked everywhere for the rope. But there was no rope at all this time. What were they going to do? They had to... Oh no. They had to begin to climb up as usual. Oh no. Climbing at night time. They'd hoped there'd be an alternative solution, but there wasn't. Holding onto the boughs and branches carefully, it was very difficult to see. Before they got farther than 2 branches up, a strange thing happened. Someone caught hold of Joe's shoulder and pushed him roughly down. Joe fell and caught hold of the lowest branch and just saved himself in time. "Who did that?" he cried angrily. He undid his lantern from his belt where he'd put it whilst climbing and flashed it up the tree, calling to Beth and Franny to go no further. In the light from the lantern, standing, grinning in the lower branches of the tree, were 4 red goblins with pointed ears, wide mouths and wicked little eyes. "No one is allowed to come up the tree now," said one of the goblins, "and no one is allowed to come down either." "But why not?" asked Joe, feeling quite astonished. "Because it's our tree now." "Your tree? What nonsense," said Joe. "We've come to see our friends who live in the tree. Let us pass this instant." "No," said the goblins, and they grinned widely. "You can't come up." "It's no good," said a tiny voice beside Joe. "The goblins have taken everyone prisoner in the tree. If you go up, they'll only push you down or take you prisoners too." Joe flashed his lantern downwards, and the children saw it was the little red squirrel speaking, the one who looked after the cushions for Moonface. "Hello," said Joe. "Do tell me what's happened. I can't understand it." "Oh, it's easy enough to understand," said the squirrel. "The land of red goblins came to the top of the Faraway Tree. The goblins found a hole that leads down through the clouds, and then, they poured down it. They took everyone prisoner. Moonface and everyone else are locked up in their houses in the tree trunk. I can tell you Mr. What's-his-name and the angry pixie have nearly battered their doors down in rage." "But why have the goblins locked them up?" asked Beth in surprise. "Well, they want some magic spells that the tree dwellers know," said the squirrel. They're going to keep them all locked up till they tell the spells. Isn't it dreadful?" "Oh dear," said Franny. "Whatever can we do to help them?" "Oh no, I don't know," said the squirrel sadly. "If only you could get them to, maybe, I don't know. If you could get up to them, maybe, you might be able to make some kind of plan. Oh, but the goblins won't let anyone up the tree." "Wisha, wisha, wisha," whispered the trees loudly. "You know, I've got a really strange feeling. I can't help feeling that the trees want to tell us something tonight," said Beth suddenly. "I always feel that they're whispering secrets to one another, but tonight, listen, I feel that they want to tell us something." "Well," said the squirrel, "I shouldn't be surprised. The Faraway Tree is the king of the wood, and now that trouble has come to it, all the other trees are angry. Perhaps they want to help us." "Wisha, wisha, wisha, wisha," said the trees loudly. "Put your arms around the tree trunk and press your left ear to the tree," said the squirrel suddenly. "I've heard it said that is the only way to hear a tree's words." Each of the children found a small tree. They put their arms around the trunks and pressed their left ears to the trees. Then they could quite clearly hear what the trees were whispering. "Help the Faraway Tree dwellers," the leaves whispered. "Help them." "How can we help them?" whispered back the children eagerly. "Tell us." "Go up the slippery slip," whispered the trees in their leafy voices. "Go through the trapdoor and up the slippery slip." "Oh," cried the children all at once. "Of course! Why ever didn't we think of it ourselves?" "Shh," said the squirrel in alarm. "Don't let the goblins hear you. What did the trees say?" "They said we were to go through the trapdoor and up the slippery slip," said Joe in a low voice. "We can get right up to Moonface's then. It's a wonderful plan." "Come on then," said Beth. and the three of them ran to the faraway tree and felt about for the little trapdoor. Ooh, another adventure! And that is the end of chapter 26. So, oh dear. So the goblins have arrived in the tree. The trees have given the children instructions. And now they've got to climb up the slippery slip. Now you know how quickly they went down it and how steep it is. What do you think it's going to be like to climb up it? Would you like to climb up the slippery slip? Well, they're going to have to try and find a way. Do you think they'll ever make it up to Moonfaces? If you made it up, what type of plan would you create? What do you think they should do to get rid of the goblins? Well, we'll find out what they decide to do in the next chapter. Bye-bye.